Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Going For It Sim Studio. The time has come. The season's starting to come to an end here in the United States, and you're gonna start thinking, is this the year that I get a golf simulator? Which is probably why you clicked on this video. When I decided to do this challenge 8 months ago, I did 1 or 2 years of research, and so I completely understand how hard it can be to navigate everything that you read, make the decisions you want, pick the correct setup. And so my goal here today is I want to discuss all of the stuff that I have learned playing on a simulator for the last 8 months to see if I can help you make your decision a little bit deeper than what you're going to read on the common articles and videos that you see online of why you can get a simulator. So to get those out of the way quickly, they're big ones, and it's pretty much the only way I was able to learn golf and do this challenge. Right? And it's convenience. That's the number one that you're going to read about. And that kind of incorporates a few different options. But there was no way I was going to be able to learn golf outside. I did not have the time. I do not have the time. I've got a full-time job as a regional sales manager selling sales performance management software. I've got a family. I've got 2 kids. I've got a dog. We're doing a lot of stuff. And then I'm also still maintaining elite level cycling fitness, which takes a considerable amount of time. So the convenience, whether it's the weather or the ability to play and not have to set a tee time, it was a vital part of my decision to do this via a simulator. The other one that you'll read a lot about is if you need to justify the cost a little bit more, you can use it for multi-sport. A lot of softwares do that now. Or you've got the ability to use it as a media room. It's also a really good entertainment piece, and you find out quickly that you become the highlight of your neighborhood, especially when it comes to doing some events. So let's talk a little bit further into why a simulator will help you as a golfer, help you get to those goals based on what I have learned over the past 8 months. Let's get right into it. All right, now that we have those out of the way, I think we can all agree that those reasons that you read really commonly, they're easy to understand, they're easy to agree with, and they make complete sense. Whether you're trying to get into golf, whether you're an avid golfer, or whether you're a longtime, really, really good golfer. Now, in the July-August issue of Golf Digest, they had published an article that had stated that more golfers played off course than on course for the first time in history in the United States. That really tells you the state of the simulator world and where it's going. The convenience really does play a big role in this, right? Now, just because off the course, that doesn't necessarily mean on a simulator only, right? Topgolf obviously fits in that, driving ranges, that kind of stuff. However, what I want to do is just go into a little bit more detail of exactly what I look for it in, and I really hope that you're able to kind of process all this and say, hey, you know what, I think this is something I really want to do, or you know what, I just still don't quite get it, and I'm not quite ready to make the jump into a simulator yet. So the first topic we're going to talk about is simply progression through data. So being a cyclist, data is a big deal to me. When we train with power meters. That's just how we do all of it. The coach gives you a specific training block to do, and it's all based on your power. It used to be a heart rate, but things change, right? We find better metrics to go by. And it's something I'm used to, always analyzing what I'm doing. I can see my performance based on hard numbers, and it's easy for me to improve and see where my weaknesses are. Golf is the exact same way. So what I look for is the swing path. I want to see my attack angle. I want to see my ball flight. I can easily tell if my face is open or closed. Is that telling me that, hey, you don't have any face control? You need to be able to work on X, Y, Z. And then obviously I want to be able to see my distance. A lot of golfers out there, they don't truly know their distances, right? You can't use the ball that you normally use on the range because you don't want to lose them. And we know that balls on the ranges don't necessarily go as far. So unless you're using a launch monitor outside or you are using your rangefinder to look at your ball constantly, your gaps are probably more of a guess than anything else. So for good golfers, for your recreational golfers, it's a key metric, and it's something that you can really hone in on. You're able to learn your half shots. You're able to learn your approach distances, and it's a really good tool to be able to look where your weaknesses and strengths are. So the next one that we'll talk about is access to coaching. This one has been absolutely mind-blowing for me, especially as a beginner golfer. golf is something that needs to be practiced. And unfortunately, the first way that we like to go as humans is we want to buy our success. So we think, let's go get the new clubs, let's go get the newest and the best, instead of taking our money and putting it into coaching. It's actually the exact same thing as in cycling again. It's a very product-heavy world that claims this is going to save you this and get you this. So folks spend a bunch of money when instead the better way to get faster or better is really just time on the bike and getting a coach to help optimize your performance. In golf, it's the exact same way. And sure, you could find a PGA professional anywhere you are. But again, it's the same thing as a course. You have to rely somewhat on weather if they don't have an indoor place to play. You're looking at scheduling time that you have to make. And if you have a busy schedule and you don't want to like cancel things just to go to a golf lesson, it just becomes difficult. Then you got to drive there, then you got to drive home. And in between that, you forget what you were doing, you forget the feel of it, and then you honestly probably don't practice as much as you should with it, right? And so when you can use a coach indoors, you get access to your house, you play when you want, you schedule your coaching session when you want, and you can immediately put that into play. Later that day, you want to come back out and try it again. The next day, you try it again. You just have a really good avenue to really put all that money you're putting into coaching into practice immediately. And that is something that has saved me a considerable amount of time. It's something I wished I probably should have started a lot earlier in this challenge. I had a few folks come over and help me in person, but I never had a very consistent coach that I could work with until about June. And again, it's something that the simulator has just been next level with that. So access to coaching, it's a really big reason to think about, especially if elevating your game is something that you want to look for. The next one to look at is something that's not really talked about, and that is the stress of learning. Nobody likes to suck in public. It's hard, you get nervous, you get tense, and in golf, you need to be loose, you need to be comfortable. So while you're learning the game or you're trying to change your swing or hone in on a skill, you don't want to go to the driving range or go to the course and just be awful at it. It isn't fun. It's funny for a little while and you can joke around with your friends about it, but in reality, you aren't making that progression that you truly want to see. When you're in a simulator, there's nobody here. So you can take that mulligan if you want it. If you want to take some crazy tiger line because you're having a good time, you're not going to lose a ball, I promise. And you can just play around and have a really good time. You can learn in secret. Don't tell anybody you're learning golf. And then when you show up next year, they're like, hey, let's go play some golf, and you show up and you went from a 35 handicap and now you're shooting at a 15. That's pretty cool, and that's something that it's no one likes to talk about it because they don't really want to say, hey, I don't enjoy sucking at something. But it's a reality for all of us. Sure, there are some people out there who truly don't care, but I mean, that's pretty rare. So there's all kinds of ways you can look at that, and jumping into a simulator really makes it much, much easier. So now we're going to talk about reps. And this is going to go back to what I was talking about with progression through data. And golf is a sport that takes a lot of practice. We constantly hear tour players do this, tour that, right? If you're buying clubs, if you're buying any sort of product, there's always going to be something that, hey, the tour players do this. Well, hey, I hate to break it to you, but if you're watching this video, you're probably not a tour player. You might be pretty good, but for the majority of folks, it doesn't work. Again, I can relate this to cycling. The way I set my bike up is going to be a lot different than somebody who is just a recreational rider. I set it up much more stiff. I have things set up in a very specific way because it needs to work when I'm going fast. And that speed is going to be significantly different than somebody who doesn't have the time or effort to really put that in to get where they need to be. So in golf, it's practice, and only having the ability to practice outside is not easy. If you're lucky enough to live on a course, you probably have some availability that's a little bit different, and that's awesome. I would always recommend going to get that practice outside. If you don't necessarily need the data right then, a mix of both is absolutely the very best way to go. But whether you're coming back from your coaching session, whether you just had one on the sim, or you just need to get repetition, you're gonna get reps if you have a simulator because it's easy. You just go out and start hitting some balls. You've got your driving range that you can go to. There's always really cool mini games. About Golf has quite a few, and it makes it really fun if you just need to break up the monotony of hitting balls inside. And then you have all of the courses, right? So you go out and you just play 18. You want to get 18 in less than an hour? Absolutely possible. You just played through your bag as if you would have outside in less than an hour, and you're probably going to get a heck of a lot more repetitions than you would outside. Say you get out 15 times a year. You can do that in less than a month pretty easily. So now what's happening is if you're playing your simulator throughout the winter and in between rounds, every time you go outside, you get to actually enjoy that and do a lot better because your game is going to be fresh. You don't have to take the first 3 holes to get back into it. Right away, your scores are going to drop pretty significantly. And so we talked a little bit about purchasing your score, right? It's really easy to read some marketing, get pulled in and go, I need that newest driver. It's gonna make me hit it straighter. I've seen the jokes, I've seen the comics, I've seen the videos. Everybody has the buddy who grabs that newest driver and they're like, watch this, I'm finally gonna fix my slice. The cool thing that you can do with the simulator is club comparison. You can use a fitting option if you want, because then you could title the clubs and you can see data back to back. It just kind of helps your analysis a little bit better. Or you can simply just grab that new club, grab your old clubs and start hitting balls. And you're right away going to be able to see what you see on YouTube, right? We all go on there and we watch the review channels and we say, what are these guys getting out of these clubs? But the thing to keep in mind with that is they're a completely different player. If you're watching somebody consistent who is a great golfer hitting clubs, they're going to be able to do things to it that kind of help you go, oh, wow, that club actually is really good. But maybe that's not necessarily what you need for your game. Maybe you don't need distance. What you need is a better ball flight. Are you looking at shafts? You could grab a few different ones and you could actually test them in your own home in the comfort of your own play to be able to say, hey, you know what? This actually isn't what I thought it was going to be. I'm not even going to take it to the course. And it just saves you a lot of that thought process. Sitting there at night, you're on the internet and you're like, gosh, I got to get this new thing. I know it's going to make my wedge game better. Now you can actually see, and it gets that thought out of your mind very quickly. So you pick up that club, you end up selling it, or you keep it and sell your old stuff. It's a benefit that is actually really nice, especially if you're one of those equipment nerds and you really want to know what's working the very, very best in your bag. And another overlooked reason why you should buy a simulator are bad days. We all have them. When I go out on the bike, I call them bad pedal days, especially on the mountain bike, where you get to the trailhead, you start riding, and you just hit every rock with your pedals, like pedal strikes. Bam, bam, bam. You can't corner for the life of you. Your fitness is just completely dead. There's multiple reasons why you just have these bad days, and I have them in golf. I'm sure you have experienced them as well, where you get out on the course and you forgot how to swing, but you just paid for a round. You're not going to go home. There's no way. You're going to finish that round. You're probably going to go home incredibly frustrated, tell everybody you're never going to play golf again, and then you're going to set up a tee time for the following week. And that's cool. But if you're on your simulator and you come out here and it's just like, man, I don't know what's going on. Just something's not working. It's so easy to go inside, right? There's no reason to get bad habits. I'm not going to sit here and make repetitive motions that create bad habits because I'm having a bad day. And it just makes it easier because you can be like, cool, I'll try back in a couple hours, or maybe I'll come back tomorrow. So that's a really cool thing that simulators offer you if you've got one at your home. All right, so to end this, we're going to talk about cost. This is a really difficult topic to talk about, and in reality, I'm going to debunk a few myths that you see out there. I see quite a bit that it is cheaper. It makes golf cheaper. That's a yes or a no. And I'm not going to specifically talk about luxury simulators like I have here with my About Golf setup. We're going to kind of talk about this a little bit more broadly. There's a lot of variables that go into putting a simulator at your house. And that's going to decide what the cost is, and it can be a reasonable number or it can be something crazy. And maybe that's due because of unforeseen construction costs, or the setup that you want is actually a lot more money than you'd expect, and so you have to budget a little bit different to get that. So the cost is a yes or no type of situation. If you play golf a lot, you've got a membership, this isn't going to replace that, right? So you can't leave out the fact that you're paying X $1,000s a year for that membership, plus green fees elsewhere, and then all the equipment that you want to buy. So you got to look at it more of like, how much do I love golf? How much do I want to get better at golf? And is this something that's gonna fit my game, my house, my family? Is this a good decision? So that you just have to do yourself, right? Look at your budget. What do you have to spend? It's definitely not going to be something you want to go crazy into the red and put yourself into financial hurt for, but it's something that you have the ability, you can find a simulator set up for just about any budget. So say you don't have a crazy amount of additional income to spend on a simulator, that's fine. You can still have a great experience. Hit into a net, have your software on a laptop or an iPad, something that you already have at the house, and find a launch monitor that's in that sub $1,000, sub $2,000 range. Yeah, it's not going to get you the best accuracy that you're looking for, but that could be just fine. It's going to get you consistent data that you can follow, and then you could take to the course and you can kind of see where that difference is in your accuracy. But it's going to get you playing, and that could also be a really good option for somebody who just wants to have fun and play it more for entertainment purposes. And then you could kind of move up from there. You move into an enclosure. If you've got a really cool setup, it's difficult to know what enclosure fits what, how much space you can use. The biggest thing is you need to be able to swing your driver. Do you have the ceiling height for it, and do you have the width for it? Sometimes you're not going to have the width to do left and right golfers, and that's probably fine for 99% of people. But it's the ceiling height that you really, really want to be kind of aware of, because that can kind of make or break your system. If you can't comfortably swing every single club, you're kind of setting yourself back in what you're actually able to do with the simulator. And then what you'll do is, to make things really, really easy, go to Carl's Place, go on their website, and use their simulator wizard. It's awesome. You put in your dimensions, you answer a couple questions through some drop-down menus, and they literally say, this is what'll fit. Here's a screen that'll fit. Here's an enclosure. You receive that in the mail. You have it up and built in an hour and a half. You put your projector up, and you have yourself a wicked golf simulator right out of the gate. If you want to go more on the luxury side and build it in like I had to, then you can do that. And that's going to kind of depend on how handy are you. Are you going to do it yourself? You're going to save a considerable amount of money. Do you want to go the luxury route and have somebody completely do it for you, like About Golf? It's going to cost a little bit more, but it is going to be so worth it. If golf is your thing and you have the budget for it, I cannot stress enough how much you want to make your simulator be an area that you want to be able to go to. I really wanted that. I didn't have the budget, so I did a lot of it myself, but it's something that I don't regret doing at all. I really wanted this area to be somewhere that I actually wanted to go out to. And I was worried that if I just had a net and I was looking at a computer, that I wasn't good enough at golf. I wasn't enjoying golf yet enough to be able to want to do that all the time. So having a setup like this was a huge motivator for me. And it was a big part of why I'm here and enjoying it as much as I am today. So yes, it's expensive. No, it doesn't have to be. You can really kind of hone down and find some used gear if you really want to. You just kind of have to be diligent about your own budget and what that goal is that you're looking for. So I really hope that all of this kind of gave you a little bit more to think about, some good information to chew on, and that it leans you towards going and getting a simulator, because look, you will not be disappointed with whatever simulator you have if it fits what you want to get out of it. Having a simulator as a golfer is phenomenal. Having a simulator as a new golfer is insane. I have introduced many folks to golf because they have come over, they've used the simulator, now they're playing outside, they come over here frequently, they're turning into golf nerds. It's really cool to see. So do your research, reach out to me if you want, comment down below. I'm happy to answer any questions if you want some help navigating certain things. I really enjoy it. I'm obsessed with simulators. I have a passion for it, and I can tell you that simulator play is going to be a big part of how I play golf even after this challenge is over. And I hope to continue to bring you guys this type of content. So please like, follow, and subscribe. Tell all your friends so that we can just really push this simulator golf world to the furthest end that it could go. I'll see you next time.